Welcome back to MoCo. We have Emmy-award winning comedian, actor, and author Dulce Sloan is in the building. Welcome to MoCo, Dulce. Hold on. Let me welcome you the right way. Let's go, man. Welcome, Dulce.
That's the best sound in the world. I don't know what them Jamaicans was thinking when they made it. Man.
What?
What a time. What an amazing sound. Just if your day's ever not going well, just you'll always feel, even if it's for 30 seconds, you'll feel better.
It's a whole energy. There's an energy about it. It's like, you know what time it is when you hear that. And so I'm just going to, even talking about that, I'm already had questions we were talking before we even started. I'm going to kind of re-ask it, but if people don't know, you worked on The Daily Show, and I had a question. I'm like, what is that like? Because I've heard working on Saturday Night Live is a whole week of just drilling, training, learning. And then I asked you, like, what is it like working on The Daily Show? And what are your thoughts?
This is the thing. You get no training. Like, when you work on SNL, you're not training. You're getting ready for the week. So you're writing the sketches. You're doing the sketches. I have a bunch of friends on that show who are writers and performers. And you're just getting ready for the week. And the same thing with Daily Show. It's, okay, here's the stories for the day. This is what we're going to do for the day. But, like, usually when you start, like, best example is an office job. Or even if you start working at, like, fast food. Somebody's like, okay, here's how you drop the fries. Okay? Here's how you cook the burger on the grill. Or here is how you work the register. Right? It's the running of the bulls. So when I started Daily Show, they were like, here's my office, go to a meeting, go to this meeting, go to this meeting. But like when you pitch, they're like, okay, pitch ideas. No one told me how to write a pitch document. Yeah. I had to ask Roy and go like, what am I doing? And so, or, get to know the people in the field department, or you have to get to know people to go, okay, I don't want to look like I don't know what I'm doing, but I truly didn't know what I was doing because you don't get real training. This ain't Old Navy. Like, no one is telling you how to put the theft deterrent on the jeans. No one's showing you how to do that. You have to pay it. You have to really sit there and listen and then find another black person there and be like, okay, what the hell is going on? Can you tell me I'm just trying to pay my rent. Can you tell me how to do this? And so eventually you're always catching up until eventually you figure out what's going on. But like no one sent me a formal like I had to look at the emails and go, okay, this is the format, right? So someone was like, okay, if you're going to pitch, you use this email. And I'm like, okay, is it always like, so you have to just go, all right, they're sending me pitch emails. I'm on these emails. Let me do this like this. And then let me pay attention to who's pitching and what they're pitching. And then it's like, okay, well, I have to find out what stuff that's going to be relevant for me. Because there's a lot of the writers were white men, so they don't know how to pitch for me. So I had to figure out how to create opportunities for myself at a job that I got hired on.
Wow. That's like, first of all, I think a lot of people might be able to relate when they go into a job and they might have, made the resume look real good and maybe not have known exactly what the job is and had to figure it out. But this is a different type of beast because when you think comedy, you don't necessarily think I need to learn how to fill out this form or this pitch or to do.
That's what comedy is.
Well, okay. So then why don't you know?
Because you're working at a job still. Here's the thing that like, one, I'm not a writer on the show. Two, when you're working at any job, so I got hired to a TV show, right? So I thought it was going to fall more under what my idea of being on like a sitcom was, or a scripted television show. This show is a news show that is a comedic news show. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So so I called my mother and I was like, Mama, I worked hard to get out of an office and then hard worked myself back into an office.
I got you.
Because when I got there, I was like, wait, is that a kitchen? Are people's food labeled in here? Is that a break room?
It felt real similar. I can't.
Mother, son of a... I'm back in an office. So, like, the whole goal... And then they showed me my office. I was like, Lord, I did it again. But at least it's my office. And I had a window, and then I lost my window, and then I got another... So, it's just like... But you don't know because the way... Hey, man, Taco Bell and McDonald's are both fast food restaurants, but they're not making the same thing. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're not making tacos at McDonald's.
I'm gonna have to skip over you got your window and you lost it because I kind of want to know how you lost it, but then it's
They
like
just switch your offices. Again, you're in an office. So they're like, okay, we have to shuffle everybody around. Or they did construction and they redid the office. So then you get moved around because it's an office. And so when you're working at any other of those jobs like that, like my friends that work at SNL, they have an office. Like my friend who's a writer, she has her office.
Yeah.
My friends who are actors, they have their dressing room, they have their office. You're still in an office. You just have to put people places. So, but when you're working on like a true sitcom, then you've got your trailer or whatever, or your space that you're at, but you're not truly, someone hands you a script and you're on set.
Yeah.
You're not in the process of creating and writing these things. That's the difference.
Wow.
But everyone's formatting is different. Also, the writing for a sketch on the show is different than the writing for a desk piece on the show.
No, I'm really listening because this is very informative. It's kind of like taking a peel back. So when we celebrated an office celebration, like, so sports, we pop bottles, pop champagne when we win. We did the same when our office sold out 20 games, right? What did y'all do when you won an Emmy? Like, what is y'all's turn up? What does that look like for y'all? Because I want to know what it's like to win an Emmy.
Well, it's different, especially when the host of the show does the acceptance speech and doesn't say your name. So, my celebration was different than everybody else's celebration because I wasn't acknowledged when they won. So, even though I worked on the show. So, oof. You go to the back and then there's cameras in your face. So, it's somebody being like, you want an Emmy? And you're like, yes. And then they're talking to everybody. Because the thing about when a TV show wins an Emmy, it's everybody who works on the show. So it's not just, so like, for instance, when a show wins an Emmy, if it's not the individual person that won, so if it's not like the writer, the director, the actor, the costume designer, when the show itself wins, then the executive producers and the producers of the show win Emmys as well. So then it's 20 people on stage, and then you go to the back, and then there's 20 people standing there, and then they have a stunt Emmy basically that they give you on stage. It's not your Emmy, and so they give you the stunt Emmy, and then they interview everybody, and you hold that, and then you go to another location where you sign your name acknowledging that you received your Emmy, and then they give you an Emmy, and then somebody else puts the camera in your face. You got to get interviewed again, and then you take pictures, and then you get interviewed. And then they have something after the Emmys called the Governor's Ball. Now, the Governor's Ball, only the people who are the producers and the performers on the show are usually the only ones that get to go to the Governor's Ball. And then that's when they have these metal bands that are engraved with your name. And then that's when they put your name on the actual Emmy. But before that, you're just walking around with a stunt Emmy with nothing on it. So they engrave these bands, and then they give you, and it's just 2 screws. So basically, it's like a piece of metal, but like this.
And then they just slap it on.
And then they bend it around your Emmy. So your name is on that. And then they're like, check it. Make sure it's right. Make sure your name is spelled right. Make sure there's an accent mark on your E. And then a girl, because if you go to my Instagram, I have the video where she screws the name on my Emmy. Dang. And then they hand you your Emmy back.
So they making it right there.
Yeah, they do it right there. And then, because like, it is interesting because like there was a Disney party that I couldn't get into even though I was working for Disney, even though I worked for Disney.
What?
But then my manager was like, she just won an Emmy. Can she get in now? And so we pulled up to the Disney party and had an Emmy in my hand. No one asked me my name. No one said anything.
That was the invitation.
Go in, ma'am. But I was too exhausted because that night I could have gotten into any Emmy party because I won an Emmy. Mm-hmm. But I was so exhausted that I was there with my manager and I was like, I gotta go to bed because I had to go. No. I had just gotten back off the road. I fell asleep in the car on the way to the Emmys.
Oh,
and then we go through all of this, and then at the end of the night, I'm falling asleep as we're going to, because we had to go to the Governor's Ball, and then we had to go to, because like my manager came with me, and then you go to the Governor's Ball, and so you walk around and try to, because you're nibbling all night also. So it's like there's a little bit of alcohol, you nibble from place to place to place to place, and I'm trying to figure out where my friends are, and they're like, we're over here, you're over here. And I was like, I'm tired and my feet hurt. And I think I had to go back on the road 2 days later. I was like, I'm exhausted. I had just been on the road solid for like a month, and then I spent a week in Atlanta, like working and taking care of family stuff. And so I flew back, went to the Emmys. I think 2 days later I had to leave again. So I was like, I gotta go to bed.
So wait, okay, this doesn't sound like a celebration, they'll say, okay? I mean, like, when did the turn up for you happen then, like, where it was like, oh, snap, I kind of got an Emmy or whatever?
You also have to understand, this was the fifth time I went to the Emmys.
Okay, my bad. You know what? You're not new to this. This sounds like All-Star when the NBA players be like, you know what? I'm a 6-time All-Star. I'm not doing all the. But
also, you have to remember, you can't turn up that much because all of these parties are corporate parties.
Okay.
It's the governor's ball is paid for by the Emmys. The Disney party is the Disney Corporation. The Netflix party is the Netflix Corporation. You cannot turn up that much.
So you gotta keep it cute. It's like a holiday party.
You have to keep it cute because you're literally. White folks is everywhere. And they don't forget when you act ignorant in public. So if you at an Emmys, because listen, I remember I went to a Netflix party 2 years ago and it was late in the night. And I remember it was me and Tia Mowry dancing to Nuck If You Buck. At this Netflix party, because there was only it was the very, 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 very end of the night. It was maybe 20 something people there. Right.
Uh-huh.
And so it was just like, and then DJ was like, only the safe whites are here. Let me go ahead and put all the execs are gone. Because you have to remember, the execs will go to these parties.
Yeah.
Everybody who works at all of these networks, because someone's responsible for paying for this party. Yeah. Right? And then the people from the network. And so everybody's bouncing around to different parties. So you can never truly turn up.
Wow.
Because every party is a work event. So yes, was I eating handmade sushi at Disney? Yes. But also, was it like, don't come in here and act the fool?
Keep it cute, baby.
You have to keep it cute. Because also, I'm walking around with an Emmy.
That's so fire, though. That's a flex. Like, what? Come on, what you saying?
This is my personal turn up was that I wouldn't let white people hold my Emmy.
No, say what?
Nope.
Oh my God.
Nope. It was my manager, and that's it. And he's Jewish. So whenever somebody would ask me to hold my Emmy, I'm like, sure. The ladies who were running the parking lot, because when the car came to pick us up after the governor's ball, there's people that work these events every year. And so there was an auntie that came up to me. She's like, oh my God, congratulations. Like, an old black auntie. I was like, you want to hold it? She's like, oh, yes. And so she was holding it. And then a Tia walked up, like an older Spanish lady. She's like, oh my God, you want any congratulations? I said, Tia, you want to hold it? She's like, girl, yes. And then when we were leaving the Disney party, there was a Spanish cat who was like, he was helping break down the party. Mm-hmm. And he was like, can I take a picture with you? He had been working Emmy events for 15 years.
Wow.
Right? And he's like, can I take a picture? I said, you want to hold it? He's like, yo, I've been doing this for 15 years. Nobody ever let me hold it. I let him hold it. He takes a picture. He posted it on Instagram. And then his daughter messaged me. Because he posted it. And then she sent me a message because I put it in my stories. And she was like, you don't understand how much it meant to my dad for you to let him hold your Emmy.
Oh,
and,
that's so nice.
Because it's like, but there was some white actor who was like, can I hold it? And I was like, nah, dog.
I was going to ask, how do you decline that? You just straight up.
It's mine.
It's on some don't touch my hair vibes. It's like certain things you just can't.
He was like, are you serious? But mind you, I was standing next to Lily Gladstone. She's like, of course. I was like, of course, sis. And I let her hold.
I love that level. I love that level of unbothered boldness. Like,
no, because he was like, you're not gonna let me hold it. I said, I'm not letting white people hold my Emmy. He said, he's holding it. I said, dog, that's my manager. He's how I got my Emmy, dog. Also, because he was like getting upset. I'm like, I don't know you. I never met you until this moment. I'm having this genuine moment with good sis Lily Gladstone and celebrating her and giving her flowers. So yes, sis can hold my Emmy because I think later on she had won an Oscar. Bro.
Yeah, she is who she is.
Also, it's the good sis. Like, I'm not going to, no, I was not letting any Caucasian. And then one of my friends who I would have let hold it, he had his own. So like, no.
Like, that ain't no problem.
You got yours, I got mine. We out here.
No.
So yeah, all night, if anybody white asked me to hold my Emmy, I said no.
Yo,
unless it was one of my reps.
Crazy hilarious.
For
but
what?
Listen, you said it's yours.
You asked me what my turn up was?
Uh-huh.
That was my turn up. That was my turn up.
So you're from Atlanta. Okay. So
yes.
You're from Atlanta. And so,
got my peach tattoo the other week.
No way.
Yeah.
The camera not showing it love enough.
Man, listen, it's a laptop and I got my arms don't turn that way. You see what I'm saying?
Listen, but we believe. Oh, okay, there we are. You really got a peach on there like that. And there's no other tattoos.
Oh, I got a bunch of other tattoos.
Oh, okay. I just saw the arm. It didn't look like it was like sleeved up. I only saw.
It's not. Listen, I can't do a sleeve. I can't even do a cuff, friend.
Okay.
Still gotta work.
You know what? So you come back to the A. How often are you back into the A? Like, because you're from Atlanta. I'm just curious your thoughts on. Atlanta has grown, like, completely business-wise, everything-wise, people. So I want to hear your thoughts on Atlanta.
I love those We Full shirts.
Those what shirts?
The shirts that say We Full.
Oh.
You have to remember, I'm 41 years old. So I remember when Brooklyn closed in the early 2000s and all of them Yankees started coming down, making all that noise. And trying to explain to these Negroes that it's too hot for Tim's, dog. You gonna lose a foot.
I can't.
You finna end up with trench foot out here, bro. Take them Tim's off. You finna lose a toe.
So that's so I'm gonna say, is that your thoughts that it was too hot for the Tim's?
Them Yankees came down making so much noise. Yo, y'all so country. You came here. We didn't invite you. Shut up. That was my first issue because they can't drive because they're not accustomed to the space. Like, oh my God, there's so much road. They don't know what to do. It's not even so. Our city's not trying to kill you. They didn't understand the concept. Also, black people doing well. What? Generational black wealth. They've never seen it. They've never seen a black. They got a black mayor, and look what he's doing.
Oh,
Come on, listen.
Come on, Eric.
Listen, I said to somebody one day. I said, you know, the legacy of black excellence in Atlanta is long because we have corrupt black politicians. And do you know how long a place has to have black politicians before you can be corrupt? Like, you can't, and that's what,
you can't come in day one acting up.
No!
You gotta be on your P's and Q's.
We got sheriffs acting a fool. We had the Red Dogs. You see what I'm saying? Like, we've had black people running stuff for a long time. It's like, all right, now we can start acting a fool. Like, you have to understand. So, like, I explained that to people from other places. It's like, it was very much a blessing to me because I remember meeting people who were like, some dude from up north, he was like, you know, growing up, he never saw black doctors and black lawyers. I said, bro, I had a black dentist. You know how deep cut you're getting into doctors?
Yeah. You get into niche, you get into specialists. You're talking about a specialist.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, can she work on the rest of my body? No, but my mouth, flawless. She's only dealing with this right. She's only in my head. Like, she can't even go down. She don't even know where the food end up. It's none of her business. So, like, I grew up seeing black people with money. I grew up seeing black professionals. I grew up seeing black families.
That's fire.
And
that's why I moved here, real talk.
Right. And when you leave Atlanta, you don't see black people everywhere. And I wasn't used to that.
Yeah, I could see that.
And so every time I would come home, I would kind of be like, oh, all right. And it was just kind of like, one, I know where everything is, first of all, because I grew up there. But also, two, it was just, because here's the thing, we have different types of black folks, and that's a different thing. Like, the city's so diverse just in the type of black people that it has, not to mention the other types of people that it has. Because people have to remember, as good as it is for black people to see generational wealth of black people, it is good for non-black people to see the generational wealth of black people. I've said to people repeatedly, if I'm flying first class and I'm flying into or out of Atlanta, no one blinks. No one pays it any mind. And usually if I'm flying in and out of Atlanta first class, I'm surrounded by, one time it was like me and 3 other black women.
Yeah.
It was 2 in front of me and then me sitting next to another girl, and no one, white people, like, nobody paid attention.
And what's it looking like when you flying first class?
Anywhere else?
Yo, they've asked to check my ticket before. I'm not gonna lie. Somebody in line asked to check. This is first class, and I'm like, yeah, that's me. And they're like, let me see. I've had that experience before
from someone who wasn't working for the airline.
Yes.
No one's tried me like that. I don't answer those kind of questions. I do remember one time I got on a flight and it was me on one side And then there was a hijabi woman, brown-skinned woman, Muslim woman on the other side. And this white man in like a button-up collared business shirt, he's getting on the plane and he stops for a second, sees her on one side and sees me on the other side. It makes a face, and then me and her watched him walk to the back of the plane. And so we looked at each other and went, mm-hmm. And then sat down. Like, you could have all of these, sir.
All that energy is for what?
It's for what? Don't be mad that we up here. Be mad that you couldn't. I don't understand it. Why are you mad at me?
Questions that need answers, but they do be mad though. That's
none of my business.
They do be mad though.
And I used to pay attention. I used to count. I was like, all right, let's see how many people are giving me dirty looks. And one of my friends was like, why are you doing that?
Yeah, you gotta let it go because they gonna do what they do.
But I can't. It is interesting to see who reacts more. And depending on where you're going, sometimes it's like black people looking like, well, how she get up here? Hey, listen, I know I was on that flight I'm sitting with 3 baddies and then me. We know I'm not going to see no basketball player. You know I work for this. This other girl, I'm not sure, but these 2 in front of us, I'm looking at these lace fronts. Bro, they don't work, and I'm happy for them.
Yo, I can't.
I wish I was in that number. I wish I
could be counted. You could get flued out, too. What you
Girl, I work too hard to get flued out.
I'm dead.
I would love to get flued out, but it's like, sorry, let me check my calendar. Hold on. When do I have a free weekend to get flued out?
Well, that's facts too. I mean, you hitting on something else, but this is the workaholic world of I understand you. But I'm curious your thoughts because we were talking about people of Atlanta. What do you think the Super Bowl gonna look like when we host it?
We were hosting the Super Bowl. I was like, yo, both teams losing, bro. Both teams are losing. Both teams are losing. I remember years ago when the Falcons went to the Super Bowl and they went to Miami. I said, we're losing. What? Somebody said, why? I said, because there's a different level of strip club in Miami.
The turn up, yes. The turn up.
Y'all gonna turn up on the wrong day. Because I remember at the time, the team was so young. Mm-hmm. Like, so many guys on the team were so young, and I'm like, these boys ain't never.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, they
Miami
the time
strip
of their
club
lives.
Right, and they're gonna celebrate on the wrong day.
Yeah,
y'all are celebrating. You went to the Super Bowl. No. Celebrate after the game. Young man with the actual apostrophe in your first name. You're celebrating at the wrong time. Listen, I'm looking forward to the amount of cars that are gonna get broken into.
Oh no! My car just got stolen 2 weeks ago.
Girl, no.
Yeah, they took it straight broad daylight, took the whole thing, went joyriding.
Let me say, I realized that as I got, I have to acknowledge that the fact that a lot of these stunts that's going on in Atlanta, they're not being made by people who are from there. It's, you are desperate from wherever you were from. It's like Miami in the 90s. Like Miami blew up in the 90s and it was people coming from other places doing dirt. Yeah. And so as Atlanta has blown up, it's when people see opportunities, there's always the scamming folks and the crooks that are going to come after.
That's true.
Because it's like, well, if they get money, we have to take it. Like, you see what I'm saying? Yeah. So I remember how the city shifted. And so it was the more and more opportunities were coming, more the crime goes up.
No, that makes sense.
Because, so, there's the joke of like nobody's from there. We're not originally from there. I'm originally from Miami. But I grew up mostly by Atlanta rules, I'm from there. I went to elementary, middle school, and high school there. We would go back and forth.
You're from here.
Right. But I also grew up mostly in Gwinnett. So when I was in Gwinnett, no, we were in the city of Atlanta for like a second, but we were in East Point, Austell, Sandy Springs, Norcross, and then we were in Stone Mountains. We basically went around the perimeter.
Wow. Yeah. So you got a little taste of everything.
Right. We were in College Park, and then we went all the way around. And so there's just that little piece where I guess we're at the airport. I don't know, but there's a little piece down at the bottom. We never hit that. But we basically went all around, and we lived in the city of Atlanta for like a second. And I was like, yeah, we got to get out of here. But because it was just a different situation because we'd always lived in, the suburbs around. But we lived in Gwinnett from when I was in the 7th grade until I graduated from college. And
so that's your whole life, though. I mean, come on. I mean, there's not really, you are from here then, because what else would there be to learn who you are and what, you know what I mean? So yeah, you from here. So I'm curious then, how does your world feel about you, like you're being an author? Like, I'm curious, like, cause like you're an author, an actor, a comedian. These are jobs that a lot of people think are hobbies, but you're making a living off of it. When is your family, and you got a book, hold on, let me make sure I say the title of your book is Hello Friends, Stories of Dating, Destiny, and Day Jobs. You kind of already hit on the day jobs part, but like, how did you get into all that world coming from the A?
I started acting in Atlanta.
Okay.
So I had agents. I was booking stuff. I was an extra on an episode of Meet the Browns. I was in one of the promo commercials. Like, I did work in Atlanta when I could.
Yeah.
I would do like the 69-hour film independent film project. So like I also was in plays. I was in a lot of plays in Atlanta too. So I was always working and acting in Atlanta, and then I was in an improv troupe for 2 years, and then I started doing stand-up. Gotcha. So I did and I did summer stock in college, and then I worked in Quakertown, Pennsylvania for 3 months when I was in college, and then I worked at a theater in Highland, North Carolina, like out of college. But my whole career started in Atlanta, because like when I did Meet the Browns, that was Tyler Perry's first studio.
I was just about to say, I mean, because it's different now. Like, I know, like...
Oh, he got Fort McPherson. Like, it was, I remember the first studio, the one where, because if you watch the movie, The Family That Prays.
Oh, yeah.
When Kathy Bates is in front of that lake,
mm-hmm.
That was the back of the studio down by Greenbrier. Like, that was the studio itself. So, but I did not meet Tyler Perry until my mother did a book signing at the Walmart on Glenwood, and I met him then. And then I didn't meet him again until he was on Daily Show.
Wow.
And I got to tell him that I was on Meet the Browns.
Life is that was a 360, a full circle moment right there.
Yeah, but it's like, it's so many people move to Atlanta because of the opportunities you can get. It's interesting because I was in a play with somebody for like a year, one of my friends, and after we did the play, he moved to LA, and then 6 months later had to move back to Atlanta because he had booked Walking Dead.
Oh, snap.
And he was one of the principal actors, one of the main actors on the show.
That's big time. That show got 11 seasons. That's big time.
Right.
Big time.
But here's what you have to remember. He wouldn't have been able to book that role out of Atlanta. Because they didn't book main characters out of Atlanta. He had to move to LA, get cast, and then move back. Because the way that the studios were doing it at the time, and I think a lot of them are still doing it, it's called day player work. So you're never the main cast. Yeah. There was some girl, I never knew her name, but if I didn't know a show was shooting in Atlanta, one, I always know. Two, like she was in The Blind Side. There was like the 2010s. Like that girl was in everything. But she was but she was never in the main cast.
So is that like a stigma for Atlanta acting? Is it kind of like they're like...
It's not a stigma. Oh, it's not a stigma.
It's not. It's really just the level is different.
It's not the level. It's the
it?
casting. So, for instance, one of my friends is on a show that shoots in Canada, right? So do you ever watch those Hallmark movies?
Yeah, I've seen more than a few.
So all of those shows are shot in Canada. All of them. Every single one is shot in Canada. And so you'll start to notice when you watch enough of them, hey, I know him from, hey, I know him from, hey, I know him from. The principals are cast out of America, and then they shoot them in Canada because it's cheaper in Canada.
Gotcha.
If they shot it in LA, they would use locals from LA. Every production has done this through the history of time. You cast your leads, usually out of LA or New York. Mind you, those people don't even have to actually live in those places. So there are leads who live in, like one of my friends, he lives in Texas. So he goes to New York to shoot. and then, but it's New York local. So every production does this.
Gotcha.
You have your main actors, and they travel in if they don't live in that place, and then everything else is cast locally.
Gotcha.
Because you use the pool that you have, because you don't want to cast somebody who's only going to work for 3 days from LA, because you have to put them up, you have to pay them a per diem.
Yeah.
I'm going to pay somebody who only has to drive 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Who's only going to work 3 days. Every production has done this through the history of time. No matter where you were shooting, if shooting a movie in Arizona, you cast your leads, you stick them in Arizona, you pay for their housing, and then every other role that is not a main role in the play.
But that still doesn't answer the question of why can't an Atlanta lead be casted in Atlanta if the show is going to film in Atlanta? Like, why do you see most of your big time leads coming out of LA instead of Atlanta if it's going to film here too? Because I'm like, I was just curious, like, yeah,
because that's what, but that's what I'm trying to explain to you. It has nothing to do with the city of Atlanta. It has nothing to do with anything, because before everybody was shooting in Atlanta, they shot in North Carolina.
Gotcha.
And then before that, they were shooting in Louisiana. So you go where your tax incentives are.
Gotcha.
And then you cast your leads out of. Now, I'm not to say that leads haven't been cast out of the city that they're in.
Yeah.
Or people have to get replaced. But that has always been how it's been done.
Gotcha.
And every city that has people coming in from somewhere has said, why can't you cast your leads out of here? And a lot of times it comes to, they think that the person doesn't have the experience.
That's what I was thinking.
You couldn't do that. But there's plenty of people who have full resumes.
Yeah.
From their local city. But the thing is, you never played a lead role because you're only doing the roles that they cast locals for.
Yeah, those day jobs.
Right. So that's the day players.
The day players.
So that's that could be their rebuttal, where it's just like, well, now if you have a production that is, there was a show, Atlanta Homicide, I think, that used to be on, I don't know what network it was on, Ion or something, but it only used Atlanta actors. And it was set in Atlanta. It only used Atlanta actors. And now it wasn't on a major network, but it was a show that was cast. And a lot of times with movies, especially like black movies that you'll see on streaming services, they cast exclusively out of Atlanta or out of Houston. And that's how they do it, but that's where the production is based.
No, that makes sense. So, okay, last question, because we're talking a lot of Atlanta. You grew up and lived here. I'm curious, during the holiday time, what was kind of some of your favorite holiday traditions that y'all had here? Did y'all go places, or was it contained inside family? What's holiday traditions look like for you? Because you're on our Christmas episode. Well, this whole month is Christmas episodes for me, but yeah, what's some holiday stuff? Give me some holiday vibes.
One, my mother never told us Santa Claus existed. She didn't tell us he didn't, but she didn't tell us he did.
So what did you think when you was little?
That Santa wasn't real. Because it didn't make sense to me. I don't know this white man. Why is he climbing in my house? Also, I don't understand why we are maintaining this lie. My mother worked very hard to get us Christmas presents. Why are we giving credit to a mythical person? Also, this is supposed to be a celebration of the birth of Christ. I think that was my mama's main thing. It's like, no, we celebrate the birth of Jesus. I don't know nothing about this fat white man.
She wanted you to know her presents came from her, baby. Like, forget that.
I mean, she didn't say that, but I caught the lead. And also, as I'm talking about, I had to be 5 or 6 years old. I remember kids at school talking about Santa. I'm like, this sounds crazy.
Why were you so aware at 5? What are we talking about?
Because it sounded stupid. I said, you mean to tell me? First of all, I was like, okay, I remember I had to be like 5 or 6 at first. I was like, this is dumb. And as I got older, and then they had like the Santa tracking system, I'm just like, this is insane. Yes. Yeah, you don't know where he's at. This is crazy. There's all these kids in the world. And then I thought about it. I was like, well, if you think about country that are like, okay, well, because then you start learning about in school different, cultures and stuff. I'm like, well, he's probably skipping a lot of certain countries because like they're not even Christian, so he didn't even got to go to most of that place. Yeah. And then, because like it's somewhere it's like
not Santa's skipping kids.
Why he's not going to places for people who don't celebrate Christmas. So if you're not a Christian, you're not celebrating Christmas. So if there's a country that's a predominantly Hindu country or Muslim country, he's like,
he's not going there.
Why is he going to Istanbul? He ain't got no reason. He's jumping over all of that. There are Christians in Istanbul and being a jackass. But what I'm saying is, if there are huge swaths of places, it's like, all right, there's 17 kids over here, and then I go to America and it's 100 million children. Got it. I'm like, he got to spend more time in Europe than he got to spend. You see what I'm saying? In India. This is crazy.
I see where the logic lies.
It bothered me so bad. And kids were getting upset with some kids like, Santa's not even real. And somebody was crying. I'm like, why are you crying? Why is this an argument? Y'all both sound dumb. He doesn't exist. And people want to
hypothetically, if there's young folks listening, hypothetically,
I'm not playing this game no more, and them ain't even my kids. This is stupid. Your parents work hard every year to get your goofy ass a Xbox, and you supposed to. It's about the birth of Jesus. Stop it. If you celebrate Christmas, we're talking about the birth of Christ. I'm tired. I don't want to do this. When I have my kids, I'm not telling them. I'm doing what my mama did. I'm not telling you he's real, but I'm not telling you. Because I asked, because I think my brother asked her, I was like, Mama, Santa real? She's like, what do you think?
Hit him with the questions game.
and we were like, no. And she was like, okay, he's not. Thank God. I ain't got a lot of y'all. I'm so happy.
We got one left in the family. We got one left in the family that believes, so we got to keep it going. But man,
I don't want to help. But I can say at a certain point, like, my mother, it was funny because she got, like, in her 40s, and she's like, I'm not cooking all this food again.
What do you mean?
She said, we just finished eating this at Thanksgiving, and now I'm going to eat this all over again.
Oh, yeah,
I'm not
baby.
doing this again.
Oh, yeah, we are. Oh, yeah, we are.
So we started doing what? It was Vietnamese for Thanksgiving. And then, Mommy, what we started eating for Christmas? Oh, it would be like Chinese or sushi or something.
First of all.
Oh, my mommy's here.
Oh, what's up, Mama Sloan?
Mama Claus, Marianne Hill.
Okay, man.
Hello.
Listen. We are past our time. I'm sorry to
I apologize.
No, I apologize.
Yeah.
I was trying to ask you any and everything because you got a beautiful, hilarious mind. Thank you for joining us here on Montgomery Co. Please make sure y'all follow Dulce Sloan at Dulce Sloan, but I'm gonna spell it in case you don't know. Dulce Sloan, Sloan on IG, man. Make sure y'all.
It's pronounced Dulce.
Yeah, like dulce de leche ice cream is what I was thinking.
Yes. Dulce.
Oh, it's dulce? Mm-hmm. So I was saying it wrong this whole time?
Girl, you're from Georgia. It is fine. It is. Ma'am. No one said. Only people who speak Spanish say my name correctly. Even they want to mispronounce it because they think that's not actually my name.
Well, my wife is Dominicana, so she would have it perfect, I guess.
Yeah, so tell your wife and she can say, oh, dulce. Yeah, dulce. Because listen,
she did already. That's the problem. That's
right. I remember when Dominicans hit Atlanta and they were like, Dulce? And I'm like, I'm just black. I don't know what to tell y'all.
Yo.
Honestly, we were on different boats. I could have been Dominican. You could have been from here.
You definitely could be. I'm sure people.
When my hair was straight.
Yeah.
When my hair was straight and I would go to the Dominican salons because they were the only ones that were just really laying it down. But, you got to be careful. So I speak Spanish, so they were way nicer to me. But also I spoke Spanish, so they had to be nicer to me. And that was my hair would be, it was like the only time you get like a blowout and your hair was still
you got it bubble whipped. You got it butter whipped, baby. You was laid.
But I can't tell you they'd be like, oh no, we're not going to put all that heat on your hair.
They put you in rollers and put you under the dryer.
They put me in rollers, put me in the dryer, and then when they took my rollers out, they wouldn't do that hard blow dry straight. They'd be like, oh, Dulce, your hair is so pretty. We're not going to do all that heat on your hair. Mind you, this other lady's hair is smoking like a 4-alarm fire. But they're like, nah, we ain't going to do that to you. No, Dulce, no vamos a hacer esto. Es mucho, no, mucha calor. We're not going to do that for you. And I'm like,
oh my gosh, y'all.
My hair done.
Hilarious. Follow her wherever she goes. She's funny. I know it has to be pressure all the time, being funny all the time. Dulce, like dulce de leche, right? Like,
it's me. Yes, it's Dulce de leche. I'm so glad when them blunts came out. Dudes in Atlanta was like, oh, like the blunts. And I'm like, yes, like the blunts. I didn't even know we was making flavored blunts like that.
Okay.
That's none of my business. That's not my ministry.
Thank you for joining us on Montgomery and Company. Please come back next season, please.
Bye.
Bye.
WABE.